Hi everyone, my name is Bree. I am a senior at Bryn Mawr College and I'm also the leadership team of the National Youth Council of the Red Cross. I've been volunteering with the Red Cross since '06, which is a long time ago, but I have a lot of experience starting high school clubs and kind of getting them off the ground, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. Basically, after you have an affiliation with a Red Cross chapter in your area, a good step to take is to try and start a club in your high school, which is what I did. And if you get very creative and kind of really enjoy your Red Cross experience, then I would suggest going out into your other community high schools and kind of forming bonds and clubs there as well. So you have this big network of high school clubs that come together and really help out the community in the name of the Red Cross. So first things first is, say you want to start a club. The first thing you'd want to do is to definitely generate interest. And how I did that in my school was to first get the logistics out of the way. So essentially, in my school, I had to have a teacher who would serve as an advisor to the club, aka they would be willing to meet at the times that the club would meet, which was often after school, and they would also be willing to supervise much of our activities. So once I found that advisor, which was actually a chemistry teacher at my high school, I went about asking the school administration for permission, which actually was very easy. I just had to go forth, put a plan in action, and tell them what my ultimate goals were. After I had all of that done, I began to ask my peers. So it's best to start with your friends. It's easy. They're very likely to support you. And I was very lucky to have friends who, like myself, enjoyed volunteering. So with their help and the help of my advisor, I started to advertise around the school. Things that I felt were most useful in advertising were definitely the social media. Facebook is great, Twitter is great. I would start a group on Facebook, invite a bunch of people to the group. I would do an event for every meeting, and I would just publicly display that as much as I could on my own wall and on my friends' walls. Another great thing to do within the school is to utilize the school bulletin boards if you have them. Some of them are specific to departments and to athletics, but if you do have any student-specific ones, definitely advertise on there the date of your first meeting, the time, the place. And if you have school announcements, which I did, morning and evening, they would often say that a Red Cross meeting was going to take place on X date. And because a lot of the students there didn't use email at the time and sometimes didn't even read the bulletin boards, hearing it over the announcements generated a whole lot of interest in my school. So after you do that, you've got all your interest generated, you definitely want to work on that first meeting. So you've picked a date, you picked a time. This is the part that is really crucial, because when people come to your first meeting, you need to make it engaging. You need to be very concrete, very specific about what you want, because it needs to sound like the things that your club does or will do will be very doable and will make an impact on the community. So the high schoolers who come to your meeting don't want to sit there and hear a bunch of wishy-washy things. They want to hear goals like, in the next month we're going to create our own event. We're going to go to, for instance, maybe the Walmart or a huge grocery shopping parking lot of your area and run a massive car wash with all proceeds go to the Red Cross. So you want to have something like that that is very much set in stone, a good big idea that they can latch onto and see that it's very doable. So that's first thing for making your meeting engaging. The second is that you want to set up a hierarchy. So you probably, being the starter of the club, should act as president because you had the intention of creating it, and I very much so hope that they would elect you president anyway. But nonetheless, you want to have a president, a vice president, a secretary, and a position I would highly recommend is one I like to call a banker. So over time you do accumulate some funds, which you want to deal back into the community. Obviously, you're a nonprofit, but you want to keep track of the money that you do make to go to the Red Cross, which is something the banker can do. And if they're not comfortable with that, I would have your advisor do it, because often money is a touchy issue with people who are under 18, which is what a lot of the high schoolers will be. So if your advisor is willing to handle any money that you happen to come in contact with before you deal it back out into the community, that would be great. Another role of the banker would be to keep track of volunteer hours. So you want to make sure that you keep track of who comes to what events, how often they come, and to have a running track list of how many hours and what events they've worked. This also helps when they apply for college, because colleges want to see exactly how many hours of volunteer work they've had, and they can come right to you and ask for your volunteer hours, and you can grab them from the banker of your group and give them right there. That'll also help you keep members because they will see that you're very organized, which is something that is highly credible, especially when you yourself are applying to college. And last thing I would say is to just have fun with it. Really appreciate the ideas that the high schoolers, your friends, bring, and don't be afraid to step outside the box. You know, you want to create these new experiences, and you want to go and see what works, see what doesn't work. But as long as you go to every event or plan every event with enthusiasm, I guarantee you it'll be a great experience, and one hopefully that I hope you will continue in college, and that all of the people who join your club will find incredibly beneficial. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, I think my information should be on this blog, and check out the National Youth Council and see a little bit about what we do, and if you're interested in joining us later on. Thanks so much.